I know it's a weird thing. I mean, it really, a lot of things in my life, I've really sort of fallen into them, and singing is one of them.
All these things arise as I drive the streets of this town.
I met Mick Pealing really for the first time about, I went to 22 at the moment, about 6 years ago, I guess.
Nick Charles. I first met him, I'm pretty sure this is the first time I met him, when we did a gig together. We weren't playing together, but we were on the same bill together at a pub in Clifton Hill, known as the Clifton Hill Hotel, funnily enough.
I don't think I've ever really spoken to him. I obviously knew who he was, because back in the day I used to go and see Stars.
I was on before him. I was doing a solo thing, which was very rare for me at the time, because I wasn't much of a guitar player. I mean, I could sing and sort of play a few chords, but I did a half-an-hour set and got away with it.
You know, I really enjoyed him. I always knew he was a great singer and all that, and but in all those years, we never really bumped into each other.
Nick came on after me, and I was going to leave because I didn't know much about him, but I thought I'd give him the benefit of the doubt and have a listen to a couple of songs.
He did his set, I did my set, then we had a bit of a chat afterwards.
And I was immediately amazed by his dexterity. You know, he was a fabulous guitar player, and just his finger-picking style reminded me immediately of Andy Durant's finger-picking style.
Maybe a year later, he was obviously thinking about doing a Stars reunion, and Andy Durant, the singer-songwriter, second guitar player, was a finger-picker like me, and we're few and far between, you know.
And I remember having a conversation with Mal Eastick, and him saying we could probably never put Stars together unless we had someone who had a similar style to Andy to actually get that, you know, whole Stars feel. And I thought immediately when I saw Nick that he could possibly be the man.
Gradually we started writing songs together for the next kind of generation of Stars albums, and so we basically wrote 2 albums for them, for Stars, and Mick and I are the songwriters. And that sort of morphed into us playing together as a duo, and then as is my want, I really always want to do original material, so we started writing material for a duo, acoustic duo, and been doing that for a couple of years, and the pandemic, bang. You like that sort of vibe, Mick?
It's getting harder to remember a time before the storm. It feels like another world where we have all come from. Each day we're searching for some happy news while we're living in the wasteland of the blues. And I sometimes hear the world outside the door, familiar sounds and traces of a life we had before. Those gone before us left some hidden clues, and living in the wasteland of the blues.
Days and nights are turning into one. The faces of my loved ones, like lost souls, have become.
At that particular point in time, I think I deeply felt that it was kind of all over. This career that I've been, you know, bumbling through for 50 years or whatever. I thought, I can't see an end to this. And I was, I guess, thinking about what I'd done and what I'd listened to, and yeah, there's a connection there. I can see your point. I mean, people interpret, as you said, people interpret songs their own way, and it's good that they do that, you know, because that's what you do as a songwriter. You just sort of throw it out there, and You know, everyone has a different reflection of a lyric.
And still I'm searching for some happy news while we're living in the wasteland of the blues. I need an inner strength to see this through. I'm fading in the wasteland of the blues.
We decided pretty much straight away that it was going to be a fairly sparse kind of record, because that's what we could produce as a duo.
But I think we always had the intention of maybe doing something a little bit maybe closer to our hearts, which is a little bit more country, a little bit more bluegrass.
So we decided that was going to be basically my acoustic guitar, Mick singing, then we'd sing harmonies.
A certain couple of songs, I mean, you could hear straight away that they would sound wonderful with pedal steel. Another couple of songs would sound wonderful with a bit of fiddle.
It's important probably not to, I mean, we could have gone the whole way and just got everything in, you know, string sections, rhythm sections, guess this, guess that, you know, and made an extravaganza of it. And then when you go out on stage, you can't really do it unless you get a cast of thousands.
At the beginnings of songs, we don't sit in a room and say, okay, what should we do now? It'll be, you know, Nick will send me a little idea via the internet, and I'll sit down and listen to it, and then I'll send him something back saying, oh, what do you think of this to go with your idea? And it sort of goes like that for a few times.
When you work in collaboration, I had to learn to say, oh, well, he thinks that's his lines, therefore that they belong in the song as much as my ideas do. Even though I might think, oh, I might have written that differently. In the past, I might have said, oh, no, we can't do that. It's going to go this way. That's my way or the highway. And I've been in that situation before where it's just been clash, clash, clash. And they often say that produces good music, but I can tell you for a fact that often produces rubbish too.
We don't see eye to eye all the time on new songs or whatever, but we can certainly come to an agreement on an idea.
I'd write an introduction and the music or some of the music.
And then I'll send him back maybe a verse or two, or maybe even a chorus.
Mick would think about the melody for a while, and we get backwards and forwards on that. Then we have our arrangement of the song.
I'd probably give into it quicker than what Nick would. Nick will probably say, oh, this bit here needs a little bit more work. And once he says that, I say, yeah, you're right. But like I said, I'll think something's finished before Nick thinks it's finished.
And then we demo it and think, oh, what does this need? Anything else? You know, what does it sound quite nice, pretty bare, you know? Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
I actually thank Nick for you know, his ability to sort of get me off my arse and get back into the songwriting. Like before, you know, collaborating with Nick, I hadn't written a song for years, you know.
The faces of my loved ones, like lost souls, have become.
Am I the last man standing on the shore?
No swearing, cameras on.
Oh, sorry.
Crazy phrasing.
Children are watching.
The faces of my loved ones, like lost souls, have become.
Am I the last man
standing wrecked upon
the shore?
Can I just hear his phrasing once?
Yes.
Am I the last man standing wrecked upon the shore?
Maybe if I just grab, am I the last man standing
I was
wrecked
thinking of upon the shore.
upon the shore?
So that's like, and that's the one that's easier to probably find.
The faces of my loved ones, like lost souls, have become.
Am I the last man standing wrecked
Upon
the
the
shore?
One more. Lost souls have become.
Am I the last man standing wrecked upon the shore?
Ugh. Upon the shore.
I love the recording process. just feel so at home in a recording studio.
Well, it's come to my attention in these ever-changing times.
If I could, sometimes I feel if I could just do that, I'd be happy. It's a great place to work, particularly when you're in a studio like Toyland, where we've done the last two Stars albums, and this current album.
As we go from day to day, so much we take for granted.
I think it's our time we started on our way. Now thank you, loved one.
When we recorded the first of the new Stars albums, which was Boundary Rider, I remember Roger McLaughlin saying to me, "Mick, you've developed this vibrato that you haven't had, you know, in previous recordings." And oh really? I said to him, because I really couldn't put my finger on what I was doing differently, but he noticed straight away there was a certain vibrato that I was using.
I think it's our time we started on our way. Tell me what I say.
And for the life of me, I cannot tell you how that's developed. Maybe it's just an age thing, you know. Your voice starts doing different things at a certain age.
First and foremost, it's a great voice. But what I really like about Mick's singing is very melodic, very tuneful.
I've always enjoyed the melody of songs before enjoying the technical side of what a singer can do. It goes back, I think, to listening to you know, the classic jazz singers, people like Ella Fitzgerald, Sinatra. They would never veer away from the actual melody of the songs. They might do a little bit of different phrasing here or there, but the melody of those songs was written for a reason, you know. Because these days I don't really feel the need to be singing at the top of my register all the time, you know. Like I save that for certain times during a show that we're doing, you know. Back in the old days, I used to think, and a lot of people still think this these days, I think, that to put it across to an audience, you have to be singing right at the top of your register, you know. But I don't think that's true.
I think it's our time we started on our way.
I mean, my favourite singers always stick to the melody of the song. Like Paul McCartney will say that, you know, a melody will just drop out of the sky, and I think that's probably true, you know.
I think McCartney said, for one thing, that just about everything that you write comes from somewhere else, other songs.
It's all borrowing stuff anyway. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun as far as melodies go. I mean, there's only a certain amount of notes you can use.
I pick up a guitar and I mess around with a few chords, and then I start to find a little kind of passage that I like, or a lick, or a sequence, and I kind of play that for a while. My method really is I don't record anything at home, or rarely. If I can remember it after a few days, it's something worth working on.
There's a million melodies in your head, but usually the first one you go with is the best, you know.
Someone like me, there's no superannuation, there's no retirement, there's no, I think I'll quit now, I'm 65 and I'll just go on holidays. No, you can't do that. I've still got to do a gig when one comes up so I can, you know, pay the rent and all that, you know. So that's a kind of a grounding thing.
Then I heard the southbound train steam by my window. Could not believe what my mind was saying. Like the smoke, where did the years go? There's a long road home, and I can just make out the light down the long road home as we wait from the longest night. It was a window to.
Am I proud of my career?
Well, I've never been asked that question before.
I guess as a guitar player, my proudest moment was getting my arrangement of a piece in my favourite guitar magazine in America.
A sense of worthiness.
I thought, yes, there you go, look at that. Lasted about 5 minutes though.
Probably satisfaction more than worth, you know.
You play music, or you make film, or you write poetry, or you paint because you feel compelled to.
The songwriting is part of your thoughts, so where I am now, it's definitely how I'm feeling, you know, about getting older and observing things differently than a young man.
I'm very proud of this work in particular. I think I haven't written this kind of music for a long, long time.
I do many of those gigs where you can see the whole audience and they're actually looking at you and smiling at things you say, or laughing or whatever, or singing along with you or whatever. But you can see their reactions, and that kind of thing, you know, makes everything worthwhile, I think. You know.
Thank you. Another new one that's on the forthcoming album.
That's pretty good now. If you're happy with what you just sung.
Well, play me that bar.
Yeah.
Up 2 bars before or something.
I need an inner strength to see this through. I'm fading in the wasteland of the blues. Is wasteland flat? I'm fading in the wasteland.
This doesn't sound horrible to me at all. Sounds pretty good.
While we're living in the wasteland.
That's the first one.
I'm fading in the wasteland.
That's the second one.
It's bluesy.
Bluesy, yeah.
Yeah.
Bluesy and flat. Okay, cool. I got this other song. How many roads must a man walk?
Yeah, that's right. Was Bob Dylan flat?
Mostly.
Yes, but it doesn't matter.